Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PSBlue Podcast. I hope everyone got some sleep like we asked last time. Vinny, my cousin and co-host, you look well rested for this episode 6.
Yeah, Anthony, I'm ready to rock and roll. Very well rested, like I've been preaching in pretty much every episode to this point. Sleep is very important, and I'm ready to talk some video games.
Very nice. Have you played anything recently that we need to know about? Or I heard you had a very busy week this week, so talk to me about what you've been playing.
Sure. Work has unfortunately gotten in the way of me, playing as much as I would prefer. But I will say this. I have been dabbling into a game that I think is very underplayed, underrated on PlayStation. And this is Cuphead. I think Cuphead is a fantastic game. I've been taking the time to kind of play through the game, and I know it was very late to the party on the PlayStation platforms, but it's a ton of fun, man. This is probably, it's I'm really having a blast playing through it right now. I'm probably a few hours into it, if that. I'm kind of playing through a level a night, right before I go to sleep, and it's really impressive. It seems like, actually, I was looking online. The reason why I started playing it was because it seems like they're launching a pretty big DLC for the game in about, I guess it's the 26th now, on the 30th. They're launching a huge DLC for the game, so I'm trying to kind of get through the main campaign before that, and dude, it's freaking sweet. Have you played this game?
Yeah, I played about 3/4 of it. It gets so hard toward the end where you're just like, and as we've discussed on this podcast before, I love a good challenge, but this game is just, I don't know. I think I need to play it on a console, because I tried it on the Nintendo Switch, which was a bad idea. And I think not that it's not great on the Switch. It's great on the Switch. I when I play on a handheld console, I kind of do it in a more leisurely way. And when I'm playing something that's a bit more difficult, I like to buckle up, sit down, straighten up, and play on a controller. So I think that was my mistake, my personal mistake, I should say. But yeah, it's a great game. The art style still gets me. I every single time I see it, it's really just incredible at what they were able to do and emulate that style of the early cartoon era. They have a show too, and Wayne Brady's actually in it, so that's something to check out. It's on Netflix. No, we don't get paid by Netflix to say that. I know several of you are probably wondering.
They have a TV show?
Yeah, a TV show.
They have a show?
Yeah.
A Cuphead TV show?
Yeah, man.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah, Wayne Brady's like the dice guy.
Oh, yeah. I had no idea.
I swear to God, look it up.
Funny. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm pretty surprised. Wow.
Yeah.
That's I'm going to have to check it out. I'm going to have to go watch it, because I'm having a ton of fun playing through the campaign right now. It's so hard. Like you said, it's very difficult. I think my approach with the game is helping, though. One level a night, and you kind of have to master the levels as you go through it. You kind of have to memorize, the different obstacles, and it's punishingly difficult. But I think that's the way to approach the game. Otherwise, you're just going to throw your controller through a wall. If you try to, play this in one night, it's not going to happen.
Right. My sisters, Teresa and Jenna, also played that through, I believe, in co-op. But I don't know if I could play in co-op. I feel like I need the accomplishment of beating it on my own. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
So,
to wrap that up, I have the exact same. Sorry, I have the exact same issue, Anthony, with regards to, for me, the problem with co-op and platformers is it's difficult to see where you are. Yeah. I have a huge problem with that in platformers. Co-op, I kind of have that feeling with. You brought up the Switch, Super Smash Bros. I have that same issue where I can lose track of my character a lot of times, and platformers tend to have that problem. So that's why I personally don't like to play that game co-op. I think Donkey Kong Country, where you kind of switch between the players as opposed to playing at the same time, is kind of the way to go about, avoiding that issue. But it seems like, unfortunately for me, I mean, I know people love doing it, but unfortunately for me, it seems like the clear answer for these developers right now is to just let everyone play at the same time and, just let them have fun, which is awesome. But it's easy to get, lost in as to where you are especially a game like this, as hard as hell this game is.
I'm with you. It doesn't matter how perfectly outlined in different colors the characters are. It can still get confusing. And it's just, I don't even think it's the developer's fault. It's just like a personal preference sort of a thing. And I have the same personal preference, I think. Let me just list off some of the games I've been playing. Here we go. Death Stranding, as Vinny suggested. I don't want to give anything away about that yet. I'm not quite ready to talk about it yet. But I've also been playing Avicii Invector. This is a rhythm game, and it's kind of like a Guitar Hero sort of a deal on your controller. And I've seen games like this in the past where it's a controller-based rhythm game, and they kind of fail. There's actually Kingdom Hearts one that's kind of super silly and weird, but Melody of Memory, I think it's called. I didn't like it. I played the demo, but I really enjoy this game. It's a little different in the way that it dictates what the button presses correspond with as far as musical instruments and beats and stuff. Sometimes you're clicking to the melody, and sometimes you're clicking to the supporting track underneath, like maybe the bass line or something like that. I am probably not using correct technical musical terms or anything like that, but I apologize there in advance. But it's fun. If you like rhythm games, if you like Guitar Hero, it is one to keep an eye on. It's free on PlayStation Plus Extra. I've also been playing another free game on PlayStation Plus Extra. This is why my gaming repertoire right now is so all over the place. I've been playing Wolfenstein The New Order. It's great. I really, really, really like it, and I really, really, really hope somehow the new one, Wolfenstein 3, it's supposed to be the conclusion, makes its way to Sony consoles. I highly doubt it, but it'd be kind of cool. You play Wolfenstein, Vinny?
No, I never played any of the newer Wolfenstein games. So that's the second one. There's been 2 new ones, right? That's the second?
No, I haven't
There
played
was
any
New
of them.
Colossus.
The new
right?
Colossus
New
is the second one. That's the second
Okay,
one.
so that's
the New
the
Order's
first
the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm on the first one.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I love it. It's a ton of fun.
It looks like a lot of fun.
It really
It
is.
looks kind of like it has its own unique style from what I've seen, and it seems like from the videos that I saw on New Colossus, it seems like it really goes into that bizarre, weird sort of
It does.
direction, which I'm a huge fan of. I never picked this up, and you said it's a part of PlayStation Plus Extra?
Yeah. I really wanted to play Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. But I never did because I wanted to play the first one first. And I never pulled the trigger on the first one, so I didn't want to play the second one. Now it's on this new PlayStation, and I figured I'd give it a shot, and I'm really happy I did. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's not a 10 out of 10 or anything like that, but it's definitely better than what I thought it was going to be. And the story is more prevalent than I thought it was going to be. So I know that's quite the lineup for me, but that's what happens when you get about 150 new games thrown at you in the course of 2 weeks. You like to dabble, you like to try different things. We got some exciting topics today, Vinny. This is going to be an interesting episode. I also wanted to let everyone know up front, we are pushing for your consideration a week because Vinny needs more time with Sifu, but I also need more time with Death Stranding. So we're going to push it a week, and at the end of this episode, stay tuned. It is going to be fun. We are going to finally talk Kingdom Hearts 4, something we've been holding on to since the podcast began. since that trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4 came out, I've been excited to talk about this, and I just want to give us a platform at the end of the episode to just say whatever comes to mind. We got some conspiracies too. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. So please stick around all the way through. Still going to be a fun episode at the end. Vinny's Sifu review will be happening next week. I know you haven't had much time to play it, but you got a week, Vinny. You can do it. I believe in you. You don't have to beat it. Just give us something. You know what I mean?
I'll give you guys what I can give, and I feel like I can beat it. Based on what I've played, I know it's tremendously difficult. I'm giving myself kind of that challenge of let's just beat this game in a week. I don't know what that's going to bring me, but I feel like I can do it. It doesn't seem like it's a very long game, like an extraordinarily long game.
No, it's not. I beat it in a week, I believe. But that was mainly because I couldn't put it down. And that's what I think is going to happen with you. Once it gets in your system, this game, it got in my head and I couldn't stop thinking about it till I beat it. It's addictive the way that we'll talk about it later. I don't want to get too off topic. So let's dive into it. But first, before we do, the best, most highest honor, the highest regard on the podcast, the quote of the week. Vinny, you get a lot of these, and you got one right here coming up, and he's drinking some water. I like to let you guys know, and he's trying to hold back some sort of a laugh. So we're going to give Vinny a second here, and I'm not cutting out any of this. We're going to leave this in here for our viewers and listeners. Okay, here's the quote. The quote of last week's episode, Vinny said, quote, "I bet you EA did a backflip when YouTube announced that you can't see dislike buttons anymore. How much did EA pay YouTube to get rid of the dislike button?" End quote. Vinny, what do you have to say?
I stand by what I said, Anthony. I think it's abundantly clear that there's a huge conspiracy going on here with regards to YouTube and EA, right? I mean, you have to agree with me. You know the CEO of EA. I don't know his name. I'm not going to act like I do. This dude did a backflip when he heard that they weren't doing no dislike buttons that were readily available to the general public. I know you can find them from kind of the research I did. You can find like to dislike ratios through particular websites, but not proprietary websites that of YouTube. So
yeah, who's going to do that?
It's exactly right. Like the general public ain't looking at anything. I don't necessarily think this is exclusive to EA, you know, doing the metaphorical backflip, if you will, to the announcement of a, you know, not shown dislike button, but maybe Activision's kind of tossed in there. Ubisoft, I think Ubisoft is kind of entering that realm of like, you know, I don't know. Something about Ubisoft right now is just kind of rubbing me the wrong way with regards to their games. I know they're announcing a big Assassin's Creed game, not to go too much off topic, but it seems like it's going to be an always online kind of game, which kind of has me worried. But I stand by what I said, man. I think that I think you're in agreement with me. You have to be.
Yeah, I am.
They were doing parties, popping champagne in the office. It was a huge deal. This is huge.
Definitely a corporate move, but I thought that was super funny from last week. Just the EA executive doing a backflip in his full suit, I thought was a funny image. All right, let's get into it. So the first topic we got today is Evil West. The gameplay trailer reveal happened not too long ago, and I wanted to cover it. Vinny, I sent you the video. Talk to me about Evil West.
I knew nothing about this game prior to what you had sent me, which is straight from the PlayStation, you know, YouTube page, and this is a 10-minute extended gameplay set. This is straight up gameplay that they released on Evil West. And I'll be honest, the first thing that I kind of thought as I was watching for the first maybe 15 to 20 seconds, here we go, Red Dead Redemption knockoff. You know me, Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. And we had kind of discussed the underutilization of the Western gaming setting, the Westerns. We just don't see that with regards to big budgets, kind of, you know, well-made games with regards to Westerns. And this game, as I watched it, really surprised me in a good way. It kind of reminded me, and forgive me for this sort of comparison, because I think it'll make sense as I describe it. It reminded me a little bit of Doom Eternal, from the sense of this looks like it just plays it looks like it plays really well. Like you know how Doom Eternal just feels good to play, very snappy, like 10 out of 10 in terms of gameplay. This looks like a ton of fun to play. It really does. Very gory, very different from Red Dead Redemption 2. And like I said, originally I was thinking this is some ripoff. This is different. This just feels different. I loved what I saw. What did you think? Did you love it? Did you not like it? What'd you think?
So when I saw the first 2 minutes of the 10-minute video, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, this looks like a very nice looking Red Dead Redemption knockoff. This is pretty cool. And then it shows the main character meeting some guy, and then they go down into the depths of hell and start fighting zombie looking creatures and these big, weird, bloody, gory sort of creatures. It was a complete left turn, and I was like, okay, this is there's a little bit more to this than first meets the eye. And the Doom Eternal comparison is very interesting, and this is why. I said that this comes from Focus Entertainment. That's the publisher, but quick side note, Flying Wild Hog is the developer of this game. Now, Flying Wild Hog has developed Shadow Warrior 1, 2, and 3. And these games are always compared to the Doom games. So that's a very astute observation on your part, Vinny. You did not know this coming in, did you?
No idea. That was honestly where my mind went. It looks like it runs really well, too. You know what I mean? Not one drop in frame rate, and a lot of stuff happening on screen. That is so funny that you bring that up, because, yeah, I mean, that's immediately where my mind went. I was like, this looks like a ton of fun to play. You know, I kind of had a smile on my face watching the entire segment, and I love that it was just straight gameplay. I love trailers like this where it just kind of shows me gameplay, shows me what I'm getting myself into, particularly with a game like Evil West, where I don't know a lot about the game, and it won me over. I'll be honest with you. This is certainly on my radar going forward. I'm hoping it's as good as this trailer kind of makes it look to be. I think, this could be really, really big. I'm very interested in this going forward. But that's funny that you bring that up, because I didn't even know that. No, I had no idea.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this or not, but the Shadow Warrior games are always compared to Doom. They're like Doom comfort food. After you beat Doom Eternal, that's because when I beat those games, I was looking for something else to play. I never picked up Shadow Warrior, but it's always compared to Doom. It's a very similar, I would say, well-received series. Not as well-received as Doom, but it has a pretty good following, I would say. Shadow Warrior 3 was actually on PlayStation Now, and it came out right around its release time, just before we switched to this new PlayStation Plus. So, just quick little fact. They also did, I don't know if you saw Trek to Yomi, but Flying Wild Hog did that game too. The black and white side-scrolling, sort of, I believe it's like a samurai game. Did you see Trek to Yomi?
No, I've actually never even heard of it, to be honest with you. These are
Yeah,
new games.
it's yeah, you play as a you're in like feudal Japan sort of a thing. And it plays like a samurai game. Sort of, it's very reminiscent of those Kurosawa films. So, okay. Anyway, that's I think that's all I have for Evil West. Do you have any more thoughts on that game?
Not necessarily. I think that I'm curious, is this going to be full retail price? Is this a $70 game on PlayStation 5? I don't think it will be, based on kind of what I saw. I would be pretty surprised. Do we know price points on this game?
I think they're gonna charge 60 for this. 60 across the board. I really do. It has a high level of production value, and I'm almost positive Shadow Warrior 3, even though it was on PlayStation Now, pretty sure that was a $60 game. So it was a different publisher. Devolver published Shadow Warrior 3, but just using sort of context clues, I think it's going to be 60. And I don't think I'm going to pay 60, but I will pick this one up for 30 when it goes on sale. It looks very different in a good way.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement there. I think that I don't necessarily know if I would pay $60 for this game, but I think certainly this would be a $30 steal, if it's as good as it kind of looks to be. So definitely caught me totally off guard. Guys, go check out this trailer. This is really cool looking game.
Yeah, it's a 10-minute little thing on the PlayStation YouTube channel. So we're literally right there. But moving on, our next talking point is Horizon Forbidden West. And more specifically, why haven't we played this game? Neither Vinny or I have played Horizon Forbidden West. We both spent 70, not 60, 70 on Horizon Forbidden West, even though you could get it for 60. And that we brought that up on a previous episode, but we won't vent on that too much. At least I won't. But neither of us have even played it for a minute. I mean, that's not true. I played it for an hour. But how long did you play this game for, Vinny? Horizon?
I would say I've played Horizon Forbidden West for less than 1 hour. I think about 45 minutes.
Yep. But why? That's the thing. I can't really put my finger on it, for me at least. I think we were talking before we started recording. It seems like it's like a time sink, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but I just mean it in. I played Forbidden West. I played Zero Dawn all the way through, and it was a long game. I didn't do everything, but I played through enough of it to, do everything I wanted to. And it was a long game. It was a great game, but it was a long game. And the pacing of Horizon is deliberately, I don't want to say slow, but it's deliberately paced. It's not the fastest paced game in the world, I would say. I don't know if you agree with me there, Vinny, but when I look at this game, I see a gorgeous, truly next gen, even though it is on PS4, it's a truly next-gen looking experience, and it's something I really want to sink my teeth into, and maybe that's why I haven't played it yet, because I know that it's going to require a level of attention from me, and a level of my time, and a level of my just hours. It's going to take hours for me to get through this one, and for some reason, I'm willing to do that in a UPS delivery sim in Death Stranding, but I'm not willing to do it just quite yet in Horizon. And maybe it's a timing thing. I don't know. Vinny, what are your theories on why neither of us have played Horizon Forbidden West?
Anthony, I think you hit it right on the head, right there at the end. It's all about timing. I think that this game and the original one, for me personally, suffer from the same problem. Let's discuss the first one, because for those of you that don't know, I do own the first one, just as Anthony does, and I've probably played the first one for maybe less than 2 hours, which is rather unfortunate, because from those 2 hours, I loved what I played. But going back
Wait, for real?
What's that?
You never beat the first game?
Never beat the first game. I have less than 2 hours in the original Horizon, and I bought it day one. I bought it day one and played it for 2 hours. And
dude, you have to go back and play that game.
I have to. I know I do. And there's a PlayStation 5 upgrade that runs at 60 FPS. I know that, and that's a reason to kind of go back to it and play it. But
not to cut you off, but really quickly. I mean, I guess I am literally cutting you off, but
sure. No, you're fine.
That's, in my opinion, why you haven't played Horizon Forbidden West. The other reason, because you need to play the first game, man. There's a lot of story. I don't know if you watched a story recap and just spoiled it for yourself so you could go into the second game, because I know you do that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like we say all the time, our time's very valuable. Maybe you don't want to play the whole thing, but I would go back and play Zero Dawn. I think it's especially for someone like you who really gets involved with these games. I think it's essential that you go back and play it. Just go straight through the main story. You could probably beat it in 20 hours if you just like rush through the story, and it won't feel like you're rushing in a bad way. It'll just feel like, hey, I just want to see everything. I just want to get everything done. You need some chops with the combat, especially because it plays very differently than almost anything else.
Yeah,
Go on.
like I had said, I think that's a very valid point, and I do play. I'm hoping, and I keep saying this with Horizon. I'm very much hopeful that I will go back and play these games, because I really want to. Because what I played, it wasn't like I played it for an hour and I said this isn't for me. That's not necessarily what happened with these games. And going back to your original point, all about timing. So going to the first Horizon for me. The first Horizon launched, I looked it up, February 28th of 2017. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came out 5 days later. And I had already had a Switch pre-ordered, as I'm sure a lot of our audience has. And obviously, if you own a Switch, you probably played Breath of the Wild at some point. But that's a 5-day difference between games that are very not similar, but they're very long. You have to pour a lot into them. And so that is a huge issue for me personally. I hope that I could speak for a lot of gamers, and I'm sure yourself, where it's extraordinarily difficult for someone like myself to play back-to-back RPGs. It just is. I don't have enough time to kind of sink into these games the time that they deserve. I know a game like Horizon, you said I could run right through the campaign in 20 hours. That's not really how I want to play that game, though. I really wish that I could go into that game and play it with, the openness and ability to kind of go around as I please. And we look at Horizon Forbidden West. We both know what came out 2 weeks after that game. Elden Ring, the best, if not the best open world game of all time, came out 2 weeks later. And I think on the back of my mind, as I'm playing Horizon Forbidden West for that hour that I played it, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I know what this is going to take. I know this game's probably going to take me between 20 to 40 hours, probably likely, closer to 40. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to have the time to beat this by the time that Elden Ring comes out. And that's on the back of my mind as I'm playing this game. I had pre-ordered it a long time ago, prior to even the Elden Ring release date even being announced. So I didn't necessarily know what I was getting myself into. So that's when I say you hit it right on the head. It's all about timing, and it's very unfortunate because these two games, the original and the second one, suffered for me personally. And I'm sure I could speak for a lot of gamers that they just came out right next to other games that are unfortunately, I don't want to say better, but man, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is considered, one of the best open world games of all time. Elden Ring is considered one of the best. This isn't like an Assassin's Creed game coming out right after Horizon Forbidden West. That's not what happened here. These are iconic, massive launches. You know what I mean? So did you have that problem? I'm curious. What was your problem with the second Horizon? Because you said you beat the first one. What was your issue? What happened?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, and I forgot about that aspect of it. That Elden Ring came out so close to Horizon. Horizon came out first. I started playing Horizon. I had a pretty busy week with work and some other stuff going on. I want to say it was within the next week or two when Elden Ring came out. Put in Elden Ring, didn't put it down until I platinumed it. So, I mean, here's the crazy part. If Horizon came out yesterday, it would have that new game smell to it. You know what I mean? And I would be playing it right now. But unfortunately, I've seen that icon on my PlayStation because I didn't get rid of the game. I didn't delete the game or anything. I see the icon every single day I play PlayStation, which is pretty much every single day. And it's just old news now, unfortunately. And it shouldn't have that much of an impact to the way that I decide what game I want to play at any given time, but it does. It just does. I don't know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? How do you feel about that? The freshness aspect of it.
Oh, I totally agree. I think that has a huge impact on us going back to games. I firmly believe that. You couldn't have said it any better. You see that Horizon Forbidden West icon on your screen for what, the last 3 months, and you've never gone
Yeah.
into it. It doesn't really
Right.
have that sort of new game smell, that scent of wow, like I don't know what I'm getting myself into, even though you've never played the
Right.
game. It's
Right.
such a bizarre feeling, and it's hard to kind of explain. But I think you nailed it. It just doesn't have that new game smell. Now I will say this. And it's funny that you brought this topic up today because I did this before, long before I even knew this was going to be a topic. So when Elden Ring came out, I deleted Horizon Forbidden West wisely because I didn't want to see the icon on my screen as yours does, over the last 3 months. And
Wisely.
PlayStation Store is hard to come by because there's only
Oh my
500
god.
gigabytes there. So I actually re-downloaded the second one about a week and a half ago. And this was based on the recent announcement of a patch, and it seems like they've upgraded the performance mode from what we saw at the State of Play, right? They announced an upgraded version of the performance mode that apparently looks, I mean, very comparable to the what's the other mode referred to as? Is it
The fidelity mode,
the
I guess.
fidelity mode? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that had me really excited to kind of go back into that world, and I don't know, man. I might just dip my toe in the water again. I really might. But I will say this. I'm going to have to restart the whole game. There's no way I'm going to go back into it and have any idea what's going
That's
on.
that's another barrier of entry. I completely agree with you, but that's another barrier of entry. That snake boss in the very beginning, in the first hour of the game, I've already seen it. I've already done that, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna start the game over. Why would I pick up an hour into the game? It just doesn't make sense. So that's gonna be in the back of my head too. Like, hey Anthony, you already beat this part. What are you doing? Why are you wasting an hour of your life? So it just sucks. It's just unfortunate timing for this game. Like you said, do you think that they knew what they were up against in Elden Ring?
There's no way. There's no way. And that's why I said, like you said, man, if they delayed it, and I know that's like that has a lot of negative connotations within the gaming community, delaying a game, right? I think deep down, I just think that delaying the game would have benefited us. I can't speak for other gamers. I know gamers have, people have a lot of time to play these games. If I was in high school and both these games came out in a 2-week time frame, I would be ecstatic. Ecstatic. Because you have so much time to play, you have so much to
Right.
play, and they're outstanding games. And by the way, I obviously we're not discrediting this game. Apparent from what I've seen from the community, from the PlayStation community, this game is a 9-10 out of 10. It is supposed to be better than the original, an amazing story. I mean, honestly, probably the best graphics on the platform from what I played. I mean, really a very special game that we've missed out on, and that's part of the reason why I re-downloaded it, man. I gotta see what it is. And like you said, we spent 70, let me repeat, $70. And it's not 60 anymore. There's something about spending 70 that, you know what I
That
mean?
extra
That
10.
extra $10 that just pisses
Yeah.
me off even more. And we were the morons that bought the PlayStation 5 version for $10 more. I knew we said we
We
weren't going
both
to get
did it.
into it in this episode. I
Yeah.
know you said that we didn't want to discuss it, but I got to say something because every time I think of this game, I think of that I spent $10 of my hard-earned money on something that doesn't even matter. A bunch of morons we were for buying the PlayStation 5
It was
version.
a
What a bunch of
donation.
suckers. It
It
was
was
a
a donation to
donation. Yeah.
Sony.
It's a
Yeah.
donation for me to not play the game, for me to play for an hour. Great.
Why can I ask you a question? Why does it feel like chores to go into this game? I don't know.
God, we are really just bashing the Horizon
But I don't mean
chores. This is
Do you
brutal.
disagree? Do you disagree?
It does. It's almost like, you feel like you want to be playing something else as you're playing through it. And maybe I think it has to do with that tutorial, the introduction sequence. I must have played through the original Horizons introduction sequence 8 times because I've always wanted to play that game. And it's the same sequence and I get sick of it. It's the younger Aloy. You're learning all the different things and it's so obnoxious because I've played it so many times. And it's not that it's not good, it's that I've played it so many times and now I'm worried, like you said, am I about to enter the never-ending introduction snake sequence of the second one? Like, yeah, is this about to be the same thing? This is terrifying. This is like and then watch, they'll release the third game alongside Elden Ring 2 and it'll be like a week later. So it's very frustrating. You're absolutely right. It does feel like chores.
But why?
I think that when we put that time into it, that it deserves, because it does deserve it. It really, really does. I know this game deserves it. And particularly the second one. From what I've heard about this second one, it is supposed to be really special from not only just a graphic standpoint, but from a narrative standpoint. It's apparently just outstanding. I don't know, man. I think we have to get over that hump of diving into it again. You have to actually dive into it and give it the time that it deserves.
I agree. And let me reiterate, that's the part that feels like chores. Building up not the actual game, not the actual gameplay. I really, really loved what I played. I really did. I thought it was great. And I loved the first game. Horizon Zero Dawn is awesome. I recommend it to anyone, not just fans of the genre action adventure. I recommend it to anyone. There's something about this game that you will love, no matter what sort of a gamer you are. So it's nothing like that. It's more of like you put it way better than I did. It's the initial, what did you say? Getting over the hump, I think is what you said. That's the part that feels like a chore to me. I don't know. It just stares me down on my. I always want to say XMB, even though it's not the XMB, the cross media bar from the PS3, PSP days, but it's always staring me down on the menu. So I don't know. Like, play me, please, play me, please.
Too funny. It's so funny that you say that, because I think every gamer has had that situation come up at some point where there's a game that they purchased that they just haven't gone into, and it's on their XMB. It's on their game, drive, and they just see it, and it's almost like it's just a unfortunate reminder of what you did and spending that money. So I will say, like I said, to wrap this up, not to go too long on it, I re-downloaded the game. I'm expecting to go back into it and at least try it again. But like you said, man, chores. Because I got to go through the tutorial again. Which, do I really want to do that? Do I want to fight that snake boss again? We'll see.
If worst comes to worst, Vinny, you could always make a video for our channel about how to beat that snake boss, because you're going to play it so many times, you're going to have it down pat.
Yeah.
So,
so
that's
I'll have that ready to go. Yeah.
Shout out Guerrilla Games for making this tremendously crafted game that we have not played.
Haven't touched it. You're absolutely right.
All right. Moving on. Our next topic is a topic that Vinny brought to me a couple weeks ago, and I sort of put it on the back burner. It is the PS5 feature wish list. A few weeks ago, we talked about some lesser known features on the PS5 that really stood out to us that we wanted to highlight. This time, we are talking about features that we wish the PS5 had. Sorry for the definition of wish list. I don't know why I said it like that. Obviously everyone knows what a wish list is, but yeah, these are features that we either are suspected will come in the future or we just really want to see. So, Vinny, I'm going to kick it to you because this was your topic that you brought to me. So, what do you got?
Yeah, I think our audience knows by now that I'm the under the radar Xbox owner. I don't necessarily play my Xbox a lot, but I do own a Series X, and there's a component to the Series X that I think that the PS5 would greatly benefit from, but I don't necessarily know if it's possible. I don't know if Sony's the kind of, company to implement this, but the quick resume feature of the Series X is truly, genuinely, it is a game changer. It is an outstanding 10 out of 10 feature that I really have never experienced before prior to the Series X, and it all relies on the SSD. So I suppose obviously the PlayStation 5's SSD is faster than that of the Series X, so I'm sure Sony could do it. I just don't necessarily know if they'd be willing to do it. But the ability to kind of flip between games in less than, I would say, 3 seconds, 4-5 seconds maybe, and not only to just switch between these games, but to pick up right where you left off from that previous one. So for those of you that don't know, you're playing Red Dead Redemption, you say, you know what, I'm going to go play Crash Bandicoot 4. You go into Crash Bandicoot 4, you play that a little bit. In 2 seconds, maybe 5 seconds, you can flip right back to Red Dead Redemption 2, pick up right where you left off, and you have no loading screens whatsoever. I mean, the 2 seconds to, pull it up, that's it. And you're right back where you were. And for a game, particularly like Red Dead Redemption 2, that has the longest loading screens I've ever experienced in gaming, it is truly a game changer. And you can have up to, I want to say, 7-8 games at one time running. So you could just be flipping between these games. Maybe I'm playing a level in Cuphead. I'm pissed off at the level. I exit out. I go into Horizon Forbidden West. I play a little bit. I go right back into Cuphead. 2 seconds, I'm right back at that level. That is something that I've never quite experienced before in gaming, and that I think that Xbox nailed. And I'm telling you, I don't think Sony will do it. Maybe in the PS5 Pro, which who knows if they'll ever, if they're going to do one of those. Maybe they better in the PS6, because it is genuinely a game changer, particularly for those of us that play single player games. It is outstanding. It is really something that they need to consider. I know that they have rest mode. I understand that. That's cool. And I love rest mode. I use it all the time. But there's a difference between rest mode and quick resume. There just is. And I'm curious, what do you think about quick resume? What do you know about it? Do you think that this is something that you would be interested in? Maybe Sony has something similar. I know you can go between these games real quick. I understand that, but not as quick. For first-hand experience, it's not as fast as quick resume. It just isn't.
It's sort of like loading screens, right? I didn't realize how long I spent in loading screens in the PS4 until I played PS5 games. You know what I mean? And there are still minimal loading screens here and there, but you don't. I've said this before. My PS4 is in my bedroom now. We still play it every once in a while. Recently, I've been playing the Insane trilogy. We're on Crash 2, just messing around in there, and the loading screens are to get into game. From the time it takes to click on the Insane trilogy to the time it takes to get into the level that you were on, you're talking minutes. And wow. It's just something you're so used to from the PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4 era that you don't realize how important it is until you have it for yourself. You know what I mean? And I'm referring to not having loading screens anymore, the quick load, sort of, for lack of a better term, thing that we got with the PS5. I feel the same way about quick resume. I don't know that I care about it, but I think if I had it, I might care about it. You know what I mean? If it's something that I had and it was taken away, I would notice it more than
I couldn't
really
Anthony,
wish
you hit
for
it right. Yep, you are exactly right. I couldn't agree with you more, because this was a feature when I got my Xbox that I was like, why? I'm never going to use this. This is kind of lame. And you find yourself constantly being reminded about it as you play games on their platform. And I will say this as well. When you turn off the system, regardless if it's in it, they don't even have a rest mode. I turned off my Xbox. If I turned it on right now, I haven't turned on my Xbox in like 2 weeks. I could turn on my Xbox right now, and in 2 seconds, I will be right back to where I was in Halo Infinite. They suspend the games in the background, even when the console's off. So you could turn it off and have 7 games in suspension. It's not costing you hardly any power. They just basically found a way to put these games in a suspended mode that uses very minimal console power in the background. I could unplug my Xbox, bring it over to your house, plug it in, go into Halo Infinite. We'd be right at the exact sequence that I was at 2 weeks ago at your house in
You read
about
my
2
mind.
seconds. It
I
would
was about
pick
to
it
ask
up
you that if you unplug it.
immediately.
Wow.
You can unplug it. You can move it around your house. I've never seen it. It is truly one of those features that you, like you said, you don't think you need it until you have it, and then you get spoiled with it, and you realize, oh my god, this is way nicer. It is truly. I hope PlayStation looks into it because it's really exceptional technology that we've just never experienced before, in my opinion.
I don't miss it. Again, I think I would need to see it on a hands-on basis. You know what I mean? I if I had to sort of estimate and just imagine this feature, because you've laid it out pretty clearly, I only really play 2 games at once. Some very, very rarely I'll play 3 games at once, you know? So I don't know if it's something that matters, but I guess you said that too. And then you realized, hey, this is a phenomenal feature.
I said the exact same thing. Exact same thing. I never play more than 2 games at one time. Even if you do that, you're gonna want to play 3. Like, it encourages you to play more games in that way, and it's so easy. I not to go on it too long.
You're fine.
You're in the exact situation I was when I originally got my Xbox, and I was like, this is, why the hell would I ever do this? It's just nice for me to be able to play Tetris Effect, flip right over to Halo, go right back to Tetris Effect in seconds. It's really a game changer, I'm telling you, particularly with games like you said, because you said that you really only play 1 to 2 games max. But when you have different types of games that you're playing, it's easy to flip between them. It's easy to go from a platformer to Tetris. They're totally different games. It's going to come more natural. It's a lot more difficult to obviously go between platformers, right? If I go from, Rayman Legends to Cuphead, it's a total nightmare because I got to remember, the different types of, platforming elements of those games. But when you're playing an FPS, Tetris, and Cuphead, it's way easier. It is natural. So I'll leave it at that. Sony, chop. Let's get to this, please. It's not gonna come. It's not gonna happen. They're not gonna do it. But man, I would be ecstatic. Let me ask you what. Let's transition here because I know we've been talking about the quick resume feature a little bit. What do you want from the PlayStation 5? What does Anthony want?
It's very simple, but it's so simple that it's not going to work. And I just don't think I think it's more of a manufacturing error that's already happened. So when I got the PS5, I was all about getting all the accessories for it. And one accessory that I really wanted was the controller charging station, right? And I love this controller charging station. I didn't get it myself. It was actually a Christmas present. It was probably my top 5 Christmas presents that I got that year. It's so nice. Every time I am done playing a session, I just hook it up on that charging station and we're good to go. However, every time I turn my PS5 back on, I'm notified, hey, you need to update your controller hardware. And I click notify after 24 hours because I don't have the USB plug there anymore. So what was the logic here? If they knew they were going to do firmware updates for the controller, why would they not have a way to get the information through why wouldn't they just use USB-C for the charging station? I get because it's quick charging or whatever, but why wouldn't they have a way to upgrade the firmware on the controller from that charging port? I don't want to go and find a random USB-C cord somewhere because that's, it's just something that I keep putting off. And my controller's probably going to explode because I'm using the wrong firmware on it. Is this just like a completely ridiculous thought process by me, or am I onto something here?
No, you're not alone there. It's a pain in the ass to have to update these controllers. I know that makes us sound like lazy pieces of you know what. But could we not do this wirelessly? Could we not? I mean, I can update my phone wirelessly right now in 2 seconds. It's connected to the internet. I suppose maybe the device, but even you can't do it wirelessly. I feel like this technology exists, does it not? Why do I have to plug in? Maybe if you're at a certain battery percentage, I would understand. Hey, you're at 10% controller battery. We need you to plug this sucker in. It's not going to update properly otherwise. If I got 99% controller battery, let me update this thing wirelessly. Why is that not a thing? That was something that kind of stood out to me personally. That has to exist. I refuse to believe that technology doesn't exist.
I don't think it does, because they would have had it in the console. They need to use the USB-C to USB-C connection as a form of data transfer. Why are you shaking your head?
I'm shaking my head right now because I just realized we were talking about my Xbox experience. Xbox does the same thing. They update their controllers. All you have to do, you don't have to plug it in. You have to just hold it still. It's an icon that pops up. It says, "Hey, controller update's ready to go." You hit obviously the button to start your update, and then they say, "Leave your controller still. Do not move it," and it updates. That's it. There's no plugging it into the console. I've never plugged anything into my console. So Sony, what the hell? What are we doing? Why do I need to plug in my controller? I couldn't agree more. Because I was playing the Query. Good. Anthony, I played the Query with my friends that we were talking about last week. Yeah. And I had to update like 3 controllers because I hadn't touched them in so long. It's a pain in the ass. Even though it takes 2 seconds. But,
I mean, I just click notify after 24 hours because I don't have the USB-C cable ready to go. I just don't. So I click that every single time I turn on my PlayStation, and I'm probably doing something to the controller that's not great, using a bad firmware, but it's what really I'm glad. I mean, maybe we do sound a little whiny, but I'm glad you agree with me at least, so I'm not whining alone, I guess, with this feature. I don't mind having to plug my controller in to do the update. That's not even the issue. Here's the issue for me. When I first got the PS5, I didn't have that charging station, right? So I had a USB-C just cord dangling on a countertop where I leave my controllers, right? So I had that USB-C cord dangling. I plugged it in every time I was done playing, the same way I do now, but with the charging station. It updated that way. Why would they make an officially licensed Sony product that is specifically made for you to store and charge your controllers that doesn't allow you to update your controller? It just this is an official product from Sony. This is something they want you to purchase to go alongside your PS5. Why are they making me dig out my USB-C cord to update my controller?
Yeah, you do a great job of explaining that, because I don't have that dual charging station, so I don't know, I can't speak firsthand. But the way you outlined it, it makes total sense. Why? What the hell? It doesn't. It's just a bizarre situation. It really is. It's just and I'm glad you brought it up, because it is a little frustrating. I think my frustrations come from the fact that I can't do it wirelessly, but yours obviously stem from the fact that why a Sony made product can't do these things. I don't know, man. Sony does a lot of weird stuff. This is definitely something. I think the way that you fix both our problems is just let us do it wirelessly. Just do it, Sony. This technology exists. Super bizarre. Yeah. It's really bizarre that you can't do it.
The beyond that, because that was the first thing that popped into my head, but beyond that, a feature I'd really like to see would be remote play. Without having to be on the same local network. I would love that feature. I wouldn't really use it all the time, but there are certain situations where you can queue up a game to be downloaded if your PS5 is in rest mode. There's a way to do it, but you can't get on your menu. Like sometimes I have multiple games that I want to download, or sometimes there's a situation where I don't have enough hard drive space and I need to actually boot up remote play because I'm in the other room or something, and I'm eating dinner or watching TV, and I'm going to get to this game that I want to play tonight, but I don't want to get up right now, so I boot up remote play. God, we sound like such spoiled brats, by the way. I don't want to get up out of my bed.
I know.
But anyway.
Children here.
Yeah. We're just talking. So I'll boot up remote play and I'll say, okay, I'm not playing this game. Let me delete this game. Let me download this game. Sometimes I'll do remote play I'll actually play a game in it for a little bit. I don't really love to do it, but I will do it every once in a while, especially if it's something turn-based, for example. Um, but it would be very nice to be on break at work and go, oh, shit, I really want to play this game when I get home, but uh, nobody's at home to click download for me. So let me boot up remote play. Let me delete these 3 games and start the download for this, put my PS5 back in rest mode. I would love to have that feature. And please, for the love of God, do not tell me Xbox has that feature or I'm ending the podcast right now.
I was just
Oh,
gonna say
God.
maybe they do, maybe they don't. I can't say that I've ever done that. I want to say that they do, but I'm not gonna speak definitively on that or conclusively on that. I can't speak from that perspective because I've never even tried it, but I think that would be a very cool feature. I think
Yeah.
particularly for situations where just the situation that you outlined. I don't necessarily think I would play games remotely,
Right.
from beyond my local network. I do think that an ability to download games when you're not home would be awesome. And particularly delete games, which is why you included, remote play, because you need to have the ability to delete certain games off of your console to obviously
Right.
download newer ones. I think that would be really cool. That'd be a very, I don't want to say unique feature because, like I said, I don't know if Xbox has something like that. They may. For those of you that are listening, let us know. Let us know in the comments below. But that would be really cool. I think that would be something that I would do as well. It'd be nice to be able to go to work, say, oh shit, I want to download this game right now. Maybe it's a new game, something like that. Typically, I think me and you were kind of we do preliminary, stuff with this where we usually have the stuff that we want downloaded. But sometimes,
Right.
you want to play a game and it kind of catches you off guard while you're at work. You're like, shit, I kind of want to play Plants vs. Zombies right now. Maybe I'll download that on my PlayStation 5. Maybe
So
you're
random.
working and you're thinking about it. Super random, right?
Yeah.
But that would be pretty cool. I think that'd be an awesome feature.
Yeah, and it's sort of like quick resume where it's one of those features that you don't know you enjoy it until you have it. And that's how I feel about remote play. I didn't think I was going to use remote play at all, but I downloaded it on my tablet one day randomly and I use it literally all the time for the most random stuff. Like I said, turn-based games, I'll actually sit there and play for like sometimes 30 minutes to an hour and just play on my tablet and it's not terrible. Like it really isn't. If we had a feature like that on I could use my 5G on my phone and play for a little bit, something like I said, turn-based, I would probably use it. I don't know if the technology is there yet. They can do cloud gaming um on both Xbox and Sony not consoles, but they both have cloud gaming what's the word, services, but I think that's got to be a different technology than broadcasting something off of your home console. So I don't know if the technology is there, but that's my other feature that comes to mind. Do you have any following features for the PS5 that you wish to see, or can we move on to the next topic?
No, nothing. Nothing to add there. I think the last thing I'll say to wrap this up is not necessarily a feature to add, but my goodness, can we clean up? We discussed this earlier. Can we clean up our chat system, our party system, our friends list system on the damn dashboard? Can we
Yeah, I
fix this,
agree.
please? Make it make sense. I'm getting sick and tired of not being able to figure out where the hell I am within the context of a party on PlayStation. It's a little ridiculous. What do they call it? Game base? Can we just get rid of game base? That's all.
I don't know. Game base is, yeah, that's your thing. I don't even know what that is. um Okay, so our next topic is an interesting sort of development with the PS4. So back in May, Sony released on Sony.com a financial presentation, which is a breakdown of probably what shareholders see for Sony. And on there was a sort of timeline of the next several years, and one of the things that came up was a clear sort of look into the future with the PlayStation 4, a clear ending timeline for PlayStation 4 games. They make it very, very, very clear that PS4 games will be gone by 2025. And I'm paraphrasing from comicbook.com, an article they had up, which links to that financial presentation. But PS4 games will be gone by 2025. That is 3 years from now. Vinny, what do you have to say about that?
Sounds about right. I think that the console shortages probably extended this time frame of, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 kind of sequential releases at the same time. I think that, God, this is, I'm going to sound like a spoiled brat because I'm a PlayStation 5 owner. And I know that the consoles are short, not in stock, and I get that, but it's just a frustrating situation, I think, for both sides. I genuinely believe that. I think PlayStation 5 owners want PlayStation 5 exclusives. PlayStation 4 owners probably want a PlayStation 5, can't get it, therefore are, being, I don't want to say being forced, but having the ability to play the PlayStation 4 version of these games. I don't know, man. 2025, 3 years from now, sounds about right. 2024, 2 years from now, we're still going to be getting these sort of, simultaneous releases. I'm hopeful that that's not first party. I'm assuming that's not first party. There's no way that, let's just say, the Ghost of Tsushima sequel let's just say it comes out in 2024. I would be stunned if that came out on PlayStation 4. There'd be no way. But you think about the end of the PlayStation, the PlayStation 3 era. I think it was The Last of Us. That was like the last game to come out on PlayStation 3, like right at the end of its cycle. So, like right at the end of when games were being made was The Last of Us, probably the best game of all time on that console. So maybe there is maybe they will start, maybe these first party games are going to be coming out to both platforms for longer than what we're anticipating. What do you think? What do you think about first party? I understand third party. I get that. I'm kind of expecting that PlayStation 4 games will continue to come out until 2025. That was kind of my expectation, to be honest with you, with certain third parties. Obviously indies, I think, will come to those consoles. Maybe not Call of Duties. I think those will probably stop in maybe 2024. But what do you think? What do you think about first party titles? That's where my mind is going with this. When are those going to stop releasing on PlayStation 4? Because Ragnarok's coming out on PS4. What else? But it seems like they're kind of. I'm missing games, obviously, but what do you think?
I'm just going to interject right here. So, are you asking me what I think, or are you asking me to let everybody else know what I think? Because I'm pretty sure you already know what I think.
Well,
I think that first party games.
Let's go ahead and do both.
Okay. I think that first party games should be off of PS4s already. Sorry. I hate to sound like you said, a spoiled PS5 owner, but I get Horizon being on both consoles. I don't get God of War being on both consoles. I don't get Ghost of Tsushima 2 being on both consoles, which it will be, by the way. I think it absolutely will be on PS4s. Vinny just shook his head. No, it will be. We already have a bet going on, so once we wrap up that bet, maybe we'll do a double or nothing with Ghost of Tsushima 2, but it will 100% be on PlayStation 4. It's probably further along than we realize because they already had the framework for the first game and they did the Iki Island expansion. Sucker Punch hasn't shown anything really, so they're probably working with PS4, the PS4 sort of framework from the first game. So I think it's 100% going to be on PS4, and it sucks. It really does, because we are not getting the most out of the PS5 because we have to have this backwards compatibility issue in the back of our minds at all times when we're releasing these cross-generational games. It's sad. It's sad. I get it. Sony seems like they're uh, really trying to set up the fact that PS5s are going to be very, very, very readily available very soon. We talked about that in a previous episode. They want to push the PS5. And the best way to push the PS5 is to get rid of the PS4, in my opinion. Because if you're not a hardcore gamer, if you don't care about frame rate, if you don't care about exclusive, well, let me backpedal a little bit. There are really no exclusives. If you don't care about the one or two exclusives like Ratchet and Clank, you don't really need a PS5. You're just gonna stay with your PS4. Maybe, you know, get a PS5 if you can find one, but it's not really that big of a deal. If they get rid of PS4s, then it is a big deal because, hey, I'm a new Sony, I'm a budding Sony video gamer, and I really want to get into these Sony games, the first parties like Horizon and God of War and Uncharted and The Last of Us, and I have nothing that I could play it on. I could play it on somebody's used PS4 that I can buy on eBay with pizza grease all over it, or I can get a brand new PS5. I think it's pretty obvious which one you're going to choose there. So yeah, this makes sense. What doesn't make sense is how long they are going to let the PS4 die. I think they're really taking their time here. I think they're giving the PS4 so much time to end. I think 2025 probably means late 2025. They're not going to want to mess with that during the holiday season, so they're not going to make a console extinct right before the holidays. So we're looking at what is effectively 2026, in my opinion. I think very late 2025 you stop getting these games. Maybe some of the holiday releases are PS5 only, but it would surprise me if Ghost of Tsushima 2 doesn't come to PS4. It would surprise me if The Last of Us Part 1 doesn't. That one might be on PS5 only. Is that one on PS5 only? Did they say? Yeah.
That's a PlayStation 5 PC exclusive. Yeah.
That's the whole point of it, I guess. Okay, well, okay. I mean, my statement still stands, though. I think that there are newer games like Horizon Forbidden West and like God of War Ragnarok that will come out within the next 3 years that will also be on PS4. So Last of Us Part 1, I don't know why I said that. You're right. That's clearly they're just trying to push, which, I mean, I'm glad I brought that up though. That's another indicator right there that they're trying to push for this new generation. They want to sell this franchise very clearly. The Last of Us is a franchise that they are obsessed with advertising and obsessed with promoting. But they're promoting it for next gen with this very clearly with this Last of Us Part 1 sort of situation here. So the next generation is here, and if you're not in on it, get ready, because by the time you buy your PS5, hopefully wireless controller updating will be a thing and you won't have to worry about it like I went on a pretty long tangent there, Vinny, but
no, you're fine. I think that, yeah, I think we're in agreement on some things, but I do think that we disagree from I just don't think that first party games starting probably next year are going to be releasing on PlayStation 4. I'd be very surprised if Ghost of Tsushima 2, if that game comes out even next year. I would be stunned if it came out on PlayStation 4. I would be really stunned. But it just makes so much sense internally at these studios to release it for PlayStation 4. The next generation leap is the SSD. Typically that translates directly to load times, right? If you can downgrade these games, increase the load times and release them on PlayStation 4 to the hundreds of millions of people playing on PlayStation 4, it just makes too much sense to do internally from the studio's perspective. But I think I think this is the last year. I think this is it. I would be stunned if going forward, particularly next year, I think we're going to start seeing PlayStation 5 exclusives for probably 90% of the first-party titles, the bigger first-party titles, that is. So
what's funny is,
yeah.
What's funny is this is the latest, and I know COVID probably had an impact on this, but this is the latest sort of console generation to cross into first-party exclusive territory. Where the game is only on the PS5. This is the longest I think it's taken, because when the PS4 came out, there were games right out the gate that were only available on PS4. Like, so many games. You had Infamous Second Son. You had the next gen NBA game, which was a completely different game than the current gen one, or the last gen one. What else did you have at launch? Uncharted 4 came not at launch, but it was like shortly after launch, wasn't it? Uncharted 4?
Yeah, Uncharted 4 was pretty close.
I mean,
I know Bloodborne was another one. Came out right after launch.
The only launch PS5 games that you got were niche games like Demon's Souls and Returnal. These games are, not console sellers. They're just not. And your first party in the past has always dictated how consoles sold, and it's a different sort of situation here. It's more about performance and console features and sort of brand recognition than it is about this game is amazing and the only way I can play it is by buying a PlayStation 5. It's a different generation that we're in, and obviously every gaming generation is a different generation, but I mean it's a different era, I guess, is a better way of putting it. It's unique, and it's something we haven't seen before, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't want to keep bringing up Ghost of Tsushima 2. I don't even think the game's been officially announced. It's been all but announced though. But Ghost of Tsushima 2, let me ask you a question, because I really want to know your answer to this. Do you think that Sony is building Ghost of Tsushima 2, not Sony, I'm sorry, Sucker Punch, is building Ghost of Tsushima 2 from the ground up for PS5, or do you think they're scaling the engine that they made on the PS4 up to the PS5 to do PS5 things?
Oh, they're more than likely using the same engine, I would imagine. But
right, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point. I think that's very valid, because I think your stance is probably going to be, well, if they're doing that, they could run it on the PlayStation 4 theoretically.
Exactly.
But I just don't. I don't think Sony's going to let it happen. I don't think they will. I think they need console sellers. They need exclusives to these platforms going forward. We've given you Horizon Forbidden West. We've given you God of War, which to me and you was probably a step too far. But I think this is it. I would be stunned if they did it again, because fundamentally though, PlayStation 4 games could probably have run on PlayStation 3. A lot of them, like you could probably manage to run. Certain games. I don't want to get too into it, but early games on the PlayStation 4 platform that were exclusive, you could probably run them on the PlayStation 3 fundamentally. It's just a decision by Sony, I think, internally, and my guess is that Sucker Punch is going to go to them and say, we want to make this exclusive to PlayStation 5 so that we can go all the way in on, performance and hopefully do some cool things with the SSD. It seems like I'm really hoping that they start, like Ratchet and Clank was so fun because of the way that it utilized that SSD.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how these first party studios want to use that going forward. Other than Ratchet and Clank, it was such a fundamental aspect of that game and its fast loading times. How are we going to see this going forward? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last thing I'll say. And then I really want to move off this topic because I feel this topic weighing us down at this point. It's kind of depressing, this cross generation thing. Um, so a lot of the coverage of Horizon Forbidden West that I have seen has really, really just given it so much credit for being such a next gen game. Now, my question to you is how can you sell Horizon Forbidden West as a next gen title if it's also on current gen? You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I get that there's upgrades in lighting and just resolution and performance and just overall fidelity. I get that. And I get that it's beautiful on PS5. But how could you actually call it next gen, like a truly unbelievable next gen experience? I wish I had the quote in front of me. I think it might have been IGN or something, but I remember the quote distinctly. It said, "This is a next gen experience." How can you say that? And I'm not criticizing the journalists. I'm criticizing, well, I'm just posing a question, really. How can you say that when the game's on PS4? You know? What do you think, Vinny? Like I don't know.
That's a good
Am I
question,
crazy?
but I suppose I would go back to you as if that game didn't release on PlayStation 4 and it ran the exact same, looked the exact same as it does on PS5 now, and all they did was release the PS5 version, would you be saying, "Wow, this is next gen"? You know what I mean? Like with
Yeah,
that,
that's a
is that
good
all it
counter
is? Is the
argument.
release of is that all it is? Is the release of the PS4 version that's detracting you from that? Because I do think that Horizon Forbidden West, based on what I've seen, looks next gen. At least the PlayStation 5 version, obviously, the PlayStation 5 version looks like there's no chance. Obviously, with those that kind of fidelity, would be able to run on the PlayStation 4. But it's just something to think about. That is it just that PlayStation 4 release that's making you think that way? Because that game looks, I mean, my good, it looks really special. Like
Yeah, I
fidelity
agree.
wise.
I really agree. I think it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen, and that includes Ratchet and Clank. I think it might edge out Ratchet and Clank by a little bit, but I just it's just like an oxymoron that I wanted to sort of
Mm-hmm.
like tell you. It's just something I observed. It's next gen, but it's literally current gen too. So it's it's just funny. It's just funny to me. Um, but I'm cool to move on if you are. I'm sick of this topic, to be honest with you.
All right, I'm ready to go.
Okay, cool. So the next topic is, speaking of topics that I'm sick of. Here's another topic that I'm sick of. Um, PlayStation Plus. Oh, that's right. The new PlayStation Plus. I promised we would never talk about it again. No, I said I wouldn't promise that because, of course, we're going to talk about it more because it's all that Sony wants to talk about. And there was a short film released on Sony's YouTube. I'm sorry, on PlayStation's YouTube channel, and it's a really cool little short film, and it's just a guy going about his daily business, and then all of a sudden he's interacting with all of these creatures and memories from his quote unquote past that sort of emulate these different games that he's playing. And their mantra here that they're using is, why be one thing when you can be anything? And the selling point here on this short film is adventure. And this is something that has always been consistent with PlayStation's brand. They are selling you on adventure, single player focused story games. And that's why I brought this ad up. It's a very high production value ad. They obviously put a lot of money into making a sort of PSA for, hey, we got our version of Game Pass and we want you to know about it. And we are not trying to be Xbox. We are trying to be a, for lack of a better term, choose your own adventure, single player focused, single player driven experience. Here's what you can do. Here are the stories you can tell with our new PlayStation Plus. So I thought it was a cool little video. I think that they are developing a very sound marketing strategy, and I have to give them credit here. This is it's a fun little video, and it's a really unique way to spread the word where they could have been very generic about it and they didn't, and I appreciate it. Vinny, what were your thoughts on this? I know you watched it for the first time today, so what was your initial impression?
Yeah, I felt like it was really impressive. I think that you spoke to it, high production value. I think that that's likely, I mean, it's clearly purposeful because, man, this is going to make me sound artsy fartsy, but I think the high production value of the trailer kind of speaks to the high production value of the games. I really do firmly believe that they're trying to say, hey, this is, like you said, adventure awaits. We have amazing single player games that aren't on any other consoles, not unlike anything that you've previously experienced. If you haven't played on a PlayStation console, if you've been under a rock, but these are games that are different from that of Game Pass, because they're likely, like you said, trying to differentiate themselves from Game Pass. And this is really impressive. I think it's an impressively made sort of mini film, 2.5, almost 3 minutes here. It's pretty cool, man. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I feel like their marketing is usually really good. They do a really good job with this type of stuff, and I think you hit it dead on. This was a great way to kind of present the package and differentiate themselves from Game Pass, which is what they're trying to do here. It's all about the quality. That's what it is. And very cool trailer. I don't think there's too much more to say other than that, personally, because I've played all of their games. So, but it's very interesting to see how they're marketing this. And yeah, man, I think that the high production value is a wise decision, and also a very cool ending. It's kind of like an undead monster in that, in that doorway towards the end. I don't know if you remember the door at the end, and I was trying to like pick certain games that they were advertising. I was looking for Bloodborne. I was like, maybe there's a Bloodborne reference in here. Maybe they're gonna.
Is that what it
maybe
is?
they're gonna finally do it. No, I don't know. Maybe it is, but that's personally what I was looking for.
I got most of the nods to the different games. Like you have the NBA, the new NBA 2K20, not new, it's like a year old, but NBA 2K22 is there. There's a picture of him playing basketball. Then you have Red Dead Redemption. He's got like a Western sort of deal going on. In his closet, he has a Returnal suit and sort of a Ghost of Tsushima armor set. And I got all these references. I maybe I'm just really dumb, but the Returnal baby, I mean the Death Stranding baby is in there, BB. But what and the Horizon thing. Sorry, I'm watching it now and I'm just sort of speaking along to it, scrubbing through. What was the zombie at the end? Was it Bloodborne? You said no. I think it might have been.
I'm not sure. I don't think it was blood. I'd be pretty surprised if it was. I'd be ecstatic if it was Bloodborne. I'm sure that Bloodborne fans were probably looking for something, because Sony just seems so hesitant to re-release the game on PlayStation 5. My guess
Bloodborne is on there though.
There has to be. It is.
It's on the it's on the in the catalog of games. I'm pretty sure. Like I said, I own the game already, so it's some games I just sort of slip my mind because I write them off. And then the Uncharted coin at the end was cool. Did you catch that?
Yeah, very cool.
He tipped the waitress with an Uncharted coin. Just like, a cool Sony's doing cool cross-media stuff. They really are. And I know I'm kind of jumping around here as far as this conversation, but I'm watching it and things are just coming to mind as I watch. There was an Uncharted movie too, so Sony has done a lot of good things in the media eye. And say what you want about the Uncharted movie, I haven't seen it, and I think the casting choices were super weird, but this is what separates Sony from Xbox. This is what separates Microsoft and PlayStation. One has, one's trying to tell stories in different forms of media, and the other one is trying to sell a service and a product and a feeling, I think, more than anything else. And I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying I prefer the way Sony has approached their sort of... There is Bloodborne. Sorry. Total.
Oh, wow,
total,
really?
Total. Yeah, total. I'm sorry. I totally lost my train of thought. if you go to, I don't know if you have the video pulled up, Vinny, but if you go to
Yeah, I do.
1 minute and 16 seconds, there's the cleaver from Bloodborne. You don't see that?
There it is. I see exactly what you're talking about. Wow. Bloodborne remaster confirmed. You heard it here first. That is awesome.
No,
Yeah,
dude, this is literally
yep.
this is literally an
Yeah, that
advertisement for
is.
the new PlayStation Plus. What are you talking about?
I know. Bloodborne remaster. There's no way. Let me just totally off topic. I know. Well, not necessarily, but they're remastering Bloodborne. They have to be. They would have released a 60 FPS update by now, like they have all of their first party. With the success of Elden Ring, there's no way they're not doing it. There's no. That's going to be a huge announcement whenever
Yeah,
it is.
Blue Point is making
Yeah.
it right now as we speak.
Okay, so you're saying Blue Point? I think they'd be great for
Absolutely.
it.
Sony owns Blue Point now. Sony owns Bloodborne. It makes too much
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, I agree.
So you heard it here
Cool.
first. Blue Point is making a Bloodborne remaster. Tell your friends. Today's date is January 26th, and we said it before anybody else said it. So we break news on PS Blue, and that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, so Sony had a cool ad. There were a few more ads that I saw, but I wanted to touch on the one I sent you. You know, they're really trying to push this new PlayStation Plus, and I thought it was going to be a blatant ripoff of Game Pass, and they're taking their own angle on it. You know, say what you want about Jim Ryan, but he's turning a corner for me right here with this. I think this is boding well in his favor compared to what he's done in the past. I like what they're doing. I like this approach. Um, I like this next topic too. I think that this is a good decision, and this goes back to what we were talking about last week. So an article came out that this is courtesy of Push Square, and I'm trying to find the source. I will work on that right now. Okay, here we go. A German outlet called Games Wirtschaft, I'm probably butchering that, said that a Sony spokesperson spoke with them and let them know that they're not going to be attending Gamescom. Yes, that's right. Right. PlayStation will not be at Gamescom. So last week we talked about E3 and how it's sort of outdated at this point, and you know, we're happy to see that it's coming back, but it's not going to have the impact we think that it did in the past. And Sony's pulling from these major sort of conventions because they don't need it. They just had a very successful state of play, and like Xbox is doing with their Xbox Bethesda conference that just happened, Sony wants to do their own thing. We have streaming. We can spread the word ourselves. Why are we going to these conventions? We are Sony. We're bigger than that at this point. We do our own thing. Vinny.
Yeah, it just makes too much sense. I'm right there with you. I think it's the right call. I think it's the right decision internally for Sony. I think that it just makes more sense to do the PlayStation State of Plays at this point. I think that you get a lot of viewership on that. You get essentially zero margin for error. Basically, you know what your message is going to be. You control the message. There's no sort of hiccups, anything like that. There's not going to be any sort of, I actually had read a story to kind of speak to this a little bit, and it's an interesting story. I want to say it was with regards to a former E3. This was probably, I want to say it was 2011. This was a recent story that came out with Jack Tretton. You remember Jack Tretton? Old Jackie? Anyways,
Of
he was
course,
the old
I remember
kind of,
Jack
yeah.
Trent. What kind of a question is that?
I was going to say, yeah. Anyways, he did an interview, I want to say less than a month back, and he was discussing kind of an E3 presentation, and I don't want to misquote it. I want to say it was the Resistance 2 demo. They did a Resistance 2 demo, and he said there was basically a 50-50 shot that demo was going to work or it wasn't live. It was kind of flipping right before, it was freaking out right before the showing, and everyone was kind of freaking out internally. And, situations like that, you don't have to worry about. If you're doing these state of plays, you control the message, you control, you get all the developers involved. You can, there's so much that you can do with it, and there's just zero margin for error. It just doesn't make any sense to do these live events anymore, particularly with that of a post, pandemic world that we're living in. It just makes more sense to do it internally and control that message. You still get the same amount of viewership. You're still going to get the same amount of publicity. I don't, it's good to be at Gamescom. I get that. Maybe you send some of your older games or your already announced game demos, over that way, but to have sort of this big presence there, it just didn't make any sense. So I'm in agreement with you, man. I like the way that they're kind of controlling their message going forward through these state of plays, through these events that they're doing, live streams. It just makes too much sense. The technology's there right now. Just push forward in that direction, and that's the way that they're going. So this doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest with you. It's kind of what I expected. So I'm happy that they're doing it. Not necessarily happy, but I think it's the right move.
Yeah, I just thought the timing of it all was pretty interesting, because E3 said it was going to come back. We talked about it, and then right after that, almost like a day after we made the podcast, I read this article. So it was just, it's funny how the stars align sometimes. Speaking of which, we were just talking about how Horizon comes out at the most inopportune times ever. It came out right when Breath of the Wild came out. Then the new Horizon came out right when Elden Ring came out. Now, unfortunately, Evil West comes out on September 20th. Do you know what else comes out on September 20th, Vinny?
September 20th. The Last of Us? Doesn't that come out in September? What?
Construction Simulator.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh. They better delay Evil West. Whatever the game's called.
Didn't you say that this is your most anticipated game of all time, Vinny? Construction Simulator?
Yeah, this is one. Yeah. I'm watching the video as we discuss it, because these kind of games are so bizarre. And you watch the trailers for these games, too damn funny that they're releasing this game. Construction Simulator? So there's not so this is an original game. So this is not Farming Simulator. This is not,
There was a few days ago, there was an announcement trailer that came out on PlayStation's website. And it's coming to PS5 and PS4 on September 20th, 2022. This is off their description. It includes 2 maps, a co-op multiplayer for up to 4 players, an unprecedented fleet of licensed construction machines, as well as numerous new and significantly expanded features, of which they do not say. So this is big, man. This is big. You talked about Lawnmower Simulator. You talked about Farming Simulator. Give us your sort of hype level on a scale of 1 to 100 on Construction Simulator.
That's a great question. That's going to be a difficult one. That's a good one.
Yeah, you got to.
I will say the co-op. I will say the co-op has me intrigued. I think that's cool. I do think that's exciting. That's how you get these games to kind of, get that level of momentum. Streaming, you have these famous streamers probably playing co-op. That's the way that you get people involved here. But man, Construction Simulator. Talk about a game I can't wait to play. This looks like fun. I got to be honest. It actually does look like fun, Anthony. I think this is a joke originally, but I'm watching the video right now and I could see myself playing this. This actually looks like if they have the right sort of development as you kind of go through this game, and the right sort of they need to give me purpose as to why I'm constructing these buildings. I hope they do it in the right way, because it actually looks kind of fun. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, great.
Be honest.
I'm really glad you feel that way. I'm very glad you feel that way, because 4 days ago I posted as PSBlue on that same video. You can look on the comment section if you want. And I said, all we need is 50 likes on this comment, and Vinny is playing Construction Simulator for our podcast. We'll upload a Let's Play too. So I'm going to hold you to that. And right now, okay. I gotta let you down easy, Vinny. We got 3 likes. So 47
Well, let me throw this at you, Anthony. 50 likes, I play Construction Simulators. 100 likes, we play it co-op, and we do it that way.
That's fair.
What dare I say? And we're already at 3. We're
Yeah.
flying up there. So maybe we'll tally up some of the videos in terms of likes. But yeah,
No,
that sounds like
this
a
is an
good
all
one
or
to me.
nothing thing. It's this comment alone. So if you're listening to this right now, go thumbs up this video, and we're playing Construction Simulator, and this way you don't have to waste your hard-earned money to see if this
We'll
game is the
waste
best
ours.
game of all time, and we can do it for you. So yeah, there's that. How about this next topic? Vinny, we're kind of flying through these topics now, but how do you feel about Dragon Age 4? It has a new name, and it's coming out. When I actually don't know when it's coming out, but I'm gonna look it up right now. But it's called Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Talk to me about Dragon Age. You're a much bigger Dragon Age fan than I am, so I'm just gonna kind of pass the torch to you on this one.
I am a pretty big Dragon Age fan. Inquisition I thought was fantastic. I think that's an amazing game. But I don't know, man. Based on what this is a kind of there's no gameplay within this trailer from what I saw, right? There's not really a whole lot of gameplay. It looks like it's running in engine and it looks cool from the video. But I don't know, man. When did Dragon Age Inquisition come out? That must have been 8 years ago, at least. And I want to say that BioWare has lost a lot of its luster, a lot of its, positive sort of, vibes, if you will, because of the Mass Effect game that they launched and Anthem, which was a total disaster on their front. And this just isn't the same BioWare, which has me sort of raising some red flags here. This is probably 95% new staff that has never worked on not new staff, but hasn't worked on a Dragon Age game before. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm necessarily, I'm not going to allow myself to get excited for this, and hopefully it comes out and it's amazing. And EA, BioWare, kind of gives me that stench of is this going to be a live service? Is this going to be some co-op live service? I don't know. I think from what we heard, it was originally going to be a live service game, but they've kind of pivoted from that based on Anthem's kind of disastrous launch. So it seems like they're kind of headed in the single player story direction for this, which has me excited. But I don't know, man. I can't say I'm excited for it. I really can't. It's a lot of it has to do with kind of the EA BioWare stench to it that has me alarmed. What do you think about this? I'm curious. I'm not going to let myself get excited over a trailer. There's no way. I need to see this game. I need to have it in my hands and play it to allow myself to get excited.
I don't really have too many feelings about this one. I put it on the list because I know that you are a very big fan of. Was it Inquisition? Was that your favorite one of them all, or was it Dragon Age? Yeah, it was Inquisition. Yeah,
For me, it was Inquisition.
I will say, I agree with you that BioWare is in a different place than they used to be. I will also say this: Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and Knights of the Old Republic 2. I loved those games when I was a kid. Loved those games. It was really sort of the first sort of they're almost the prequel to the Mass Effect games. They're a lot more RPG focused, but you can see sort of the direction that they go in with Mass Effect, and you can see the lineage in the Knights of the Old Republic games. So that's really cool to see that. They're a completely different company than they were when those games came out. I couldn't agree with you more. So having said all that, though, I think that this has a chance to be good, and we've seen a lot of misses from BioWare in the past, and you already named the big ones, so I'm not going to repeat you, but I will say this: if BioWare can knock Dragon Age 4 out of the park, they are back, and that is absolutely huge for EA. They need this one. I really believe it. I really think they need this one. They need to have an RPG studio. they had some success with the Mass Effect Legendary Collection. I know people are really enjoying that, especially since they went through and updated the first Mass Effect and got rid of some of the lesser desirable features in that game. So it's only time will tell. This game, I looked up the release date. There's no projected release date yet. It's looking like a 2023 or 2024 game. So sort of going back to our previous conversation, this might be one that is a next gen exclusive and only on PC and PS5 and and Xbox Series X. That would be cool. I think that could do some good for BioWare. That's the optimistic side of me. The pessimistic side of me, the realist side of me, says that this is going to be a game that is very average. That's the sort of unfortunate reality, I think. I don't think it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it would be more newsworthy if the game was just downright terrible, but it's not. It's going to be good. And it's going to be like, your standard fare RPG game. So, I don't know. I see both sides of this one, but if somehow, some way, BioWare nails this one out of the park, it's a big deal. I think I really do. Yeah. Got anything else on this, Vinny?
I agree. No, I couldn't agree more. I think I get that fear of it's going to kind of come and go, and it's not going to be a big deal, like you said. I think that EA probably wants to just launch a game that doesn't have so much negative publicity, which kind of caters towards what you said, which it comes out and it's a good RPG. It's nothing special, but it's good, right? It's not terrible, which they can't release another terrible game. BioWare can't do it. They can't afford it. They need to release a game that's well received, at least generally well received, which, like you said, I think we're staring at a good RPG, not necessarily something that's going to blow us. Hopefully we're wrong. I really genuinely hope that we're wrong. I hope that BioWare comes back. I think a good BioWare is good, not necessarily, even though it helps EA, which we all know is the evil empire, if you will. But I do think that a good BioWare is a good thing for the gaming industry. And the hope is that they hired people that understand that in the near, recently, that know what it, that have an appreciation for sort of their older games and understand what makes a BioWare game special. So that's the hope. And like you said, I have lukewarm expectations, and I'm happy that I do. I'm hoping that I kind of keep those, my expectations in check going forward. Keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. That's sort of the stance that it seems like we're both taking on it. I will say this: what is the best game that BioWare ever released? Do you know?
Star Wars, right? Isn't that their highest regarded
wrong.
game? What's
wrong?
What's that?
You don't know the best game that BioWare ever released was? No.
What is it? Go ahead.
It's a little game called Newen. For those of you who don't know what Newen is, it's
Newen?
Neverwinter Nights.
Oh my goodness. Neverwinter Nights. You couldn't be more right. Vinny, how the hell did I forget that?
Yeah, Vinny and I played it on right around the World of Warcraft hype. We wanted to play like a more single player centric game, and that was our go-to, Neverwinter Nights. It was great. You can't even say that game was bad. That game was awesome. It was a charming game.
Neverwinter Nights. It really was. Very good game.
Dude, I'm so reluctant to move on to this next topic because it really upsets me. Okay, let's just go for it. I want to make sure you have the video pulled up. Do you have the video pulled up for the next topic?
I do. Just for you, I got it. I'm playing it right now.
Okay, so Vinny and I have a sort of write-up that we do for every episode, and I'll write it up and I'll send it to him, and he'll send me stuff back, yada yada yada. And so I was just watching some YouTube videos trying to get ready for this week, and on this bullet point, all I said was Forspoken looks like total shit. That's literally what I said. And there was an 8-minute exclusive gameplay demo for Forspoken, and the one that I'm looking at is courtesy of Game V on YouTube. I'm not sure the original source for this one, but obviously from Luminous Productions and Square. So, man, it just looks bad. I kept going through all the comments, and people are saying, yeah, it looks like it has potential, and a lot of it was positive, but am I crazy, or does this look like crap?
I don't know, Anthony. I'm watching this video. I got to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm sitting here saying it looks like shit. I don't know if that's my takeaway here. I will say that it looks a little bit like a underdeveloped game. Like, it looks like it could probably use another year, under development to kind of fill out this world a little bit. It looks a little empty to me. It looks a little bit like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? But I warned you. Did I not warn you about this game a week, maybe 2 weeks ago? That maybe you were.
Like, it's running at like 4 frames per second. Like, what is this? I know you're the frame rate guy, but like, God, like,
it's running like trash. It is. And I'm expecting 30 FPS, which I think is what we're getting here, maybe. So that's probably why I'm not bringing it up so much. I think this is going to be 30 FPS.
This is sub 30. This is sub 30. There is no way this is 30 FPS. This is the choppiest 30 FPS I've ever seen. I wish this was 30 FPS.
It's interesting because I'm starting to think that I'm getting kind of excited based on what I'm seeing here. I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty surprised that you think this looks like crap. I think it looks pretty cool. Maybe I'm taking crazy pills. Maybe I'm the one. I think this combat looks cool. I think that I like the fact that it's like a huge open world like this too. I don't know. Maybe I'm turning a new leaf on this game because I wasn't excited for it before, but it's kind of giving me Final Fantasy vibes, Final Fantasy 15 vibes, which I really enjoyed, and that was kind of a sluggishly run game. It was, whether you like it or not. That game ran at like 25, 30 FPS max. And it's super high, very high intense, very, action-packed gameplay. I don't know.
What is going on?
So some of this looks great, some of it doesn't. I will say that. Some of it doesn't, but I don't know. I think I'm pretty impressed with this. I'm very surprised by the fact that you think this doesn't look good, because I think it looks pretty cool.
The bar was set so high for me after seeing the initial coverage on this game and some of the trailers and okay, so at the end of this trailer, they show some conceivably not pre-rendered, but very directed clips that they sort of pulled, cherry picked, if you will. And those look so good. And that's what we've seen in the past. But when you go to the beginning of this trailer, and you watch the player just walking around and stuff, and the way that the material, sort of that clear material, comes off of the main characters, you know what I'm talking about? That like it's like a flowing, when she jumps, what is that? It's like string. It looks like string cheese or something. It looks like mozzarella cheese coming off of her arms. Like, what is that? It's like a PS2 texture. Do you not see this? Am I losing it or?
Okay. I see. So I'm kind of flipping through it, but now I'm back at the beginning. Okay, I'm starting to see what you're seeing, which is a little bit of red flags here, and I'm also seeing like a lot of chop, very unwell. Like, it doesn't run very well. I could see that. That's abundantly clear. And I do see that string cheese, that mozzarella cheese that's kind of hopping off of her every time she decides to take a jump, which is kind of annoying. It does look a little bit PS2, early PS3-ish. Like, yeah, what the hell is that? Is that supposed to be some sort of magical?
It's an effect. it's an effect, but it looks like it's unfinished. I don't know if this is just because it's alpha footage. Maybe I'm praying to God it's because this is alpha footage, I hope. And they just wanted to show off some gameplay. But I am very, very concerned about the state of this game right now. It's supposed to come out this year.
Yeah, I think this game would benefit from a year delay. And I do think there's potential here based on what I've seen. I think this looks really cool. A lot of it does look really cool, but I think now that I'm kind of reviewing the top half of this video, it is running like shit. I'll be honest, it does run like crap. Some of the effects look really cool though. Some
And
of
some
the
of them look
spells
terrible.
look awesome, and then others kind of look like dookie. They just don't look good. They don't look very impressive. And like I said, I think the world looks like it's a little bit too open. Like it doesn't look like there's a lot going on, but maybe that's just for presentation purposes. Maybe that's the way that they wanted it to look. A lot of this is let me
But
get
if
it
it's
in my
running like
hands and let me
that,
experience it.
if it's running like this when they empty the world for performance, when they actually populate the world with stuff, how is the game going to run?
Yeah, it's gonna run worse.
This game's supposed to come out in 3 months, Vinny.
Yeah,
3.5
like I
months.
said, I
October
told you not to get
22nd.
excited, Anthony. I said don't get yourself too excited for this game. I don't think this is the kind of game to get excited for.
Okay.
And me, I was very lukewarm on the game up until now. I think I'm kind of looking forward to it, cautiously optimistic about it,
Like I said,
because I mean, some of the stuff looks really cool.
Yes, yeah, duh. When some of the stuff that they pick at the very end of the trailer, you go 4 or 5 minutes in. Vinny and I are both watching the trailer by the way. Go to 4 minutes and 20 seconds, okay? So you go to 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Are you there? Let me know when you're there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so see how it's like
I'm
cutting from like landscape to landscape, scene to scene, fight to fight. They are like I said earlier, cherry picking scenes that look good. You're not getting gameplay. That one scene of that giant circle with the sun. This is what I saw originally, and I was like, oh my god, this game is going to be so good. And then I saw the unfiltered, unedited gameplay in the beginning, and oh my god, I'm so upset, man, because I don't know what else to say. I really don't know what else to say. This game looks like a total mess. It looks like it's a year and a half to 2 years out from being done. It looks like a very good proof of concept. That's all I'm seeing is a proof of concept. Like, oh, okay, yeah. If I was a CEO at a publisher's, some gaming publisher, and I needed to write off on this game, I said, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. This game looks great. It's going to be great. But I'm seeing this as a proof of concept. I'm not seeing this as a game that is going to go gold in 3 months. Are you kidding me?
It's a good point. It's a very good point. I think that I don't know. I'm excited for this game. Maybe we're at a slight disagreement here. I think that most of this video looks excellent, but like you said, that first 2 minutes is a little bit scary. It is. It is very scary, but I think that 2 out of the 10 minutes is a pretty good margin there, pretty good percentage. I don't know. I'm not willing to say this is not going to be good. I don't think I'm there yet.
I am,
because it is Square and interesting, and they just delayed it too. It's supposed to come out this month.
No,
and
I'm there.
They gave themselves 3 more months. Yeah,
I'm ready to say this game's not going to be good. It's not. It's just not. I'm so upset to admit, but unless they delay it another year, unless it comes out October 22nd, 2023, this game's going to be trash. It doesn't run. Everything that you've seen, I promise you that it's all the stuff that's handpicked and I don't want to say pre-rendered, but sort of very deliberately edited sequences. That's the stuff that you think looks cool. The stuff that you say, oh, it's struggling, is the stuff that is actually they're showing you in real time. This is the first real-time footage of the game we've seen. The first real-time, unedited, unfiltered. This is the gameplay. This is what you get when you play. Yeah, it looks bad. It just looks bad.
Okay, okay.
This
Well,
bums me out, man. I don't know how much longer I can talk about this.
I was gonna say, I think right now I'm gonna wait and see. I'm gonna have a wait and see approach with this one, and let's see. I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I'll be honest. After watching that, I think that we're on not total opposite sides of the pillar, but we're both concerned about the first 3 minutes. It sounds like you're just downright out on this game. So I don't think I'm out yet. I'm gonna have to see some more here. I need some more gameplay. Need something more.
You also weren't as excited for this game as I was, so I mean that's the other reason. I'm very upset. I was all in on this game. I also don't like that when she runs around. I think it's an effect that they're trying to do, and maybe it's part of the story, but it looks like a glitch. It doesn't look, it's not visually appealing. When she runs around, there's like transparent holes in her body. Do you see that if you go to the beginning of the game? I mean, the beginning of the video?
Yeah, yeah, you could see that. Yep.
I don't like
Super
that.
weird.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
don't
Let's
like that at all.
let's move on. Let's move on. I wanted to save face a little bit here, and because I was the one that said Forspoken's going to be amazing, so I feel like it would be disingenuous if I didn't bring this up on the podcast and let you know I'm I'm very skeptical now of this game. And this is where we're gonna end the podcast. We're gonna end it right here on another Square topic. Now, like I said, for your consideration, if you are one of those just terrible people that fast forward to the very end of our podcast for your consideration, we don't want you anyway. So, like, unsubscribe right now. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't do that. Seriously, don't do that. But yeah, we don't have for your consideration this week. Vinny and I both need more times with our games. So we blocked out a segment at the very end to dive into another Square Enix title that I am just so skeptical on, Kingdom Hearts 4. Vinny, how does Square Enix get so much right and get so much wrong at the same time? I don't understand this. They are cradling the Final Fantasy VII IP like a newborn baby. And then they're just taking the Kingdom Hearts IP and completely just crapping all over it. What is going on with Kingdom Hearts 4? Talk to me about
Well, that's
that.
interesting.
Talk to me about that article you brought up last week. I just want to get into an unfiltered, unabridged Kingdom Hearts 4 discussion. Just go. Give it all to me.
Well, Anthony, let me ask you this real quick before I suppose answer that. It seems like you have a pretty negative connotation towards Kingdom Hearts. It seems like you're kind of
I do.
fed up with the series, and
I
you
am.
are. And I'm curious, is that fully originating from the third one, or is there additional stuff here that I'm not aware of? Is it just your hate for the third one that this is coming from?
Um, well, I mean, mainly it's mainly my hate for the third one, but it's also the just like ridiculous amount of time they made us wait and the stupid spin-offs that we had to have in between, and some of them were actually good. Birth by Sleep is very good. Dream Drop Distance was a surprise favorite of mine. I didn't play it on the 3DS. I didn't have a 3DS. So when they remastered it, I really enjoyed Dream Drop Distance. Except did you play Dream Drop Distance?
No, never played it.
Okay, but there was this one move that was so OP. It was like Balloon Zaga, and you just summoned all these balloons that could like literally one shot every single boss in the entire game, and kind of broke the game. But I used it to get past some tough bosses. But it was good. I'm sick of the spinoffs. I'm sick of the convoluted story, and I am so disappointed by the third game. And I say it all the time. Final Fantasy VII Remake is the reward that we get for Kingdom Hearts 3 being as bad as it was. You know what I mean? They were working on both games simultaneously at several points through the production process, so one had to give. And Kingdom Hearts was the game that had to give. And thank God Final Fantasy VII Remake is amazing. Thank God we got something good out of this. But Kingdom Hearts suffered. And apparently there was I heard a rumor, I don't know if it was confirmed or not, but I heard some sort of a story that part of the reason that you didn't get certain characters in the movies that were in the game is because they couldn't follow the plot of the movies anymore. It was some sort of a licensing loophole thing, and they had to just use the worlds and certain core characters. But the second they introduced a plot line that resembled the plot line in the movie, they couldn't have gameplay with it. That's why there was the weird Frozen musical thing that happened, because the only way that they could emulate that story is if there was no gameplay. I heard something, and I could be misquoting this, I could be paraphrasing it wrong, but this is the gist of what I've heard. I don't couldn't tell you the source. It was just sort of something that someone mentioned to me in passing, but I don't know if I buy that completely. But for whatever reason, Kingdom Hearts 3 was an absolute train wreck. And the best part about this Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer was Donald and Goofy at the end. That's the only thing I liked about the trailer. Everything else, I look like all the worst parts about Final Fantasy 15 in Kingdom Hearts 4, the gameplay that we saw. It looks a little too actiony. It looks very easy, and we're starting to deviate way too much from what made this game so special, the first two. Did I answer your question, or did I go off on a whole tangent, or is that what you were
No,
hoping
you
I would do?
did. You did. And you said a lot of I couldn't agree more with what you went through there. And it's interesting because a part of me deep down was kind of hoping for a reboot of the series if they were to do a Kingdom Hearts 4. Just give me a new story so I can try to follow along with what the hell is going on in this
That's what I
story.
thought they were
Because I
doing.
do, but that's what I was kind of hoping was maybe just give me a different story. But then you kind of think of it like, you know, Sora and Donald, or I'm sorry, Donald and Goofy are so pivotal to what makes Kingdom Hearts so special. You know, how would they do that? Would it be just a different character with Donald and Goofy? Would it be two different Disney IPs that they would be, you know, fighting with? There's a lot of questions that they would have to answer that I think would be, you know, a lot of obstacles that they'd have to overcome, which I think probably would have been the right call. But I agree, man. I'm a little worried about this. It seems like Star Wars is a confirmed world based on what we've seen.
That's
It
so
seems like they
stupid.
teased it at the end,
That's
which
not
I'm
even
like,
Disney.
okay, great. Like, I don't care about Star Wars personally. I know people have. And listen, me and you are not speaking for the entire Kingdom Hearts community, though, with that, because I know Star Wars has been like a huge, you know, one since Disney purchased Lucasfilm. Everybody thought, you know, Kingdom Hearts fans were thinking, "Oh my goodness, we're gonna get
Yeah,
a Star
but
Wars world." Which for me
can
and
I
you, I
interject?
know we're not. Yeah, go ahead.
Star Wars is not a Disney IP. It's a Disney owned property, but it's not Disney. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm saying it in a technical way. You know, I'm just, all I know is that Star Wars is not Disney. Star Wars is Star Wars. Marvel is not Disney. Marvel is Marvel. Disney owns these studios, yes, and Disney owns these properties, but they are not Disney. What made Kingdom Hearts so cool is going to the Disney worlds. The Disney worlds. Hercules, Frozen, Tarzan, Nightmare Before Christmas. These are movies with the castle in the beginning with the light that goes across and it says Disney. These are the movies that are supposed to be connected to these games. The whole game hinges on the nostalgia factor. Without the nostalgia factor, these games don't work. The reason why Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 were so good is because you relived moments from the movies. That's why Kingdom Hearts 3 was so bad. Was because you didn't get to relive the movies, the moments from the movies. You didn't get to relive anything. You were just walking around with Buzz and Woody and fighting a random doll that wasn't in any Toy Story thing ever. Like, what is that? I love the Toy Story
Yeah,
world, but it was completely like it had nothing to do with Toy Story. I wanted to see
Nothing to do with it.
Lotso. Could you imagine? Could you imagine seeing Lotso and having to fight him? That would have been so cool, man. Like,
Yeah,
what is
huge
going on
missed
with this?
opportunity because I think me and you are in agreement. We weren't necessarily upset with the choices of worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3. It was the
No,
utilization of those worlds and how
right,
you chose. We had a Monsters Inc. world, which me and you talked about for years. We had talked about that since we were kids. 10,
right.
20 years ago, we were talking about a Kingdom Hearts, or, a Monsters Inc. world, and how would that look and how would that feel and how cool would it be to be fighting who's the villain? Who's
Randall,
Steve Buscemi's character? Yeah,
Randall.
how cool would that be to fight Randall at
We
the
talked
end?
about fighting
And I
Randall
think
for years.
we talked about fighting Randall for years and how cool that would be as like a final boss battle to the Monsters Inc. world and how they could use the the original storyline and it was just very disappointing from that standpoint. I know the Toy Story world for both of us was a huge disappointment. It was excellent from a graphical standpoint. It was awesome to be able to walk around Woody's room, or not Woody's room, but Andy's room. That was real. It was really impressive looking, very cool, but it was empty. It wasn't. There was no sort of life to those worlds. Like you said, it had nothing to do with Toy Story. There was nothing. You weren't living that sort of that nostalgic story that we know. It was such a layup for them to do, and it's unfortunate that they decided to go a different route. The Big Hero 6 world, it was kind of like, I think we didn't necessarily need that. What I would hope this is, and I think both of our hopes of what this is, and we know that our hopes aren't going to come true. Let's go back to Tarzan. Let's go back to Nightmare Before Christmas. Let's go back to, just give me the old worlds again and let me run through, I don't know. It's such a shame that we're at this point that we have to, beg Square Enix to fix this problem. I think a reboot probably would have been the best decision here. I really firmly believe that. We don't need a continuation of this overly complex story, especially with Kingdom Hearts 3, with how upsetting it was. And now you've kind of lost the luster of the series, and now we're kind of continuing in that direction of Kingdom Hearts 3, which is unfortunate. And it looks really easy. The gameplay trailer that we saw was like, it was just QTEs. That was all it was.
Yeah.
And it's just really upsetting. I'm really, really hoping that they go out and they say what's going to be different. Like, do some interviews and tell us why I should be excited for this based on how upset we were with Kingdom Hearts 3. And I don't think we're going to get it, man. I think we're just going to get another Kingdom Hearts 3. It's going to be very similar in its structure, and it's unfortunate. Less Disney worlds, Star Wars, great. Like I said, I'm cool if Star Wars is there. I'm going to be, that's cool. That's totally fine by me. I'm not upset because there's a Star Wars world. But am I going to be getting the Disney worlds that I have, that sort of nostalgic effect with? Like, what would be cool? Let's go back to, Alice in Wonderland. That'd be awesome to see that on a PS5. That would be amazing. I'd be ecstatic. I just don't think we're gonna get it. We're just gonna get another half-baked Kingdom Hearts game, empty worlds. I'm tired of the empty worlds. That's another thing. Put some stuff in this world to make me feel like it's an actual living, breathing world. Which I know, like, I hate it when people say that when they're talking about RPGs. Wow, it looks like it's, living, breathing world. Kingdom Hearts games are so bare,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate. There's no NPCs. There's none of that. We've reached a point where we're able to make those additions. We don't have constraints from the consoles anymore. That's not an excuse. Give me an open world that actually has NPCs in it, please. Please, Tetsuya. At least it's still Tetsuya Nomura. I will say that. At least he's still the director. Great. And at least he's still heavily involved. I'm hoping. I don't know, man. I think we're on the same boat, though. I think we're very negative towards the series, and Kingdom Hearts 3 just left such a bad taste in my mouth. And maybe I'll replay it and see if maybe our hype was too much. Maybe now that I don't have the hype and I go back to it and I remember certain aspects of the story. I don't think that's gonna happen though.
No,
But
I've thought about that too. I'm like, maybe I'm being unfair. Every time I try and think about replaying this game, I think about how impressive another one of their convoluted title 2.8, I think it was, that one where you play as Aqua. I just think back to that. I was so impressed by that. My imagination was running wild after that. What are they going to do when we actually get our hands on some Disney worlds? I am so excited for this. It was great. That Aqua DLC was great. It's not even DLC, it was a standalone thing. Couldn't be more excited after that.
yeah, it was so cool.
And
Yeah.
then I think back, and I haven't played that, and it's been longer since I've played that than it has been since I've played Kingdom Hearts 3. So I just remember my feeling toward each, though, and I remember being very impressed by that, and I remember being very underwhelmed by Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3 was never going to live up to our expectations, but I thought it would at least meet us halfway, if you will. And I didn't even get that out of it. The best part of Kingdom Hearts 3 was taking selfies with all the Disney characters. I must have took about 600 selfies. That was the best part of the game. That's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It is. It is. I'm curious, what do you not to talk about it too long, but what do you want to hear from Tetsuya Nomura about this game that would maybe make you say, okay, like, you know, what
Nothing.
Message do you want him to deliver?
I don't think there's any message. There's no message. There's no, nothing short of a final product that is like actually good. I'm not buying into any of this anymore, man. I'm not. I don't want another demo.
Yeah.
I don't want a Kingdom Hearts 3.75324 repeating. I don't want it. I don't want it. I want Kingdom Hearts 4 and that's it. And
yeah,
I don't know what else to say. There's nothing that they could say that's going to get me excited. The only thing, here's one thing that might get me excited. If they announced we're making Tarzan, Nightmare Before Christmas, Alice in Wonderland, if they announced all those worlds, what are some of my other favorite worlds from those games?
Well, let me say this, Anthony, while you think about it, but I'm curious. I think you're right on the right path there, but let's give us those worlds without showing me any of them prior to me playing. I don't want to know what worlds I'm getting myself into.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
When Kingdom Hearts 3 released, I knew every world. I knew every single one. Exactly.
They have to build hype
the
for the
thing
game.
Is that
we're in a different era,
and it's a shame.
They have to build hype for the game. If somebody's a mega fan of Big Hero 6, they have to let you know that Big Hero 6 is in the game. That might be the only reason they sell, a few thousand copies, because, so-and-so is such a big fan of the movie Big Hero 6 that he had to play Kingdom Hearts once he knew that was in the game. There's no way. I'm sorry. That would be cool, and that was part of what made the first two games so special, is realizing those worlds for the first time. And I'll say this: it's up to you. If you don't want to know what worlds are in the game, you have to do a complete media blackout for Kingdom Hearts 4. And I already do that because I forget all the time that this game even exists, because I don't like reminding myself of it, because I don't want to be let down. Let me clarify something for those of you that are new, or for those of you who don't know. Vinny and I are mega fans of Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I can say this for you as well, Vinny. They're two of our most cherished and favorite games of all time. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, definitely. Completely agree.
So this criticism of Kingdom Hearts 3 and this first look at Kingdom Hearts 4 comes from a place of love and frustration and a lack of patience. We don't have the patience anymore. We were what, like 11 and 12 when the first game came out, and now we're damn near 30. So like, what are we doing here? Can we just have a product that, you know, we can be proud of, and have a fond memory of one of these games again? If you can't deliver on that, just don't give us the games again. I'll happily replay the first two games. I'll just play that again. Just don't give me anything that's bad.
Yeah. And like you said, you'd have to do, to go back to your earlier point, you'd have to do a media blackout for like 6 years. I do not want to
Right.
wait 6 years until I have this game in my hands. Don't just keep trickling things out over the course of a 5.5, 7 year period like you did with Kingdom Hearts 3. And that was part of the problem with Kingdom Hearts 3, is it took so fucking long to get in our hands, and it ruined it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're already right down that path, because this game looks like it's nowhere close to being finished. It looks like it's probably been in development for about a year, based on what I've seen here. We probably have a whole another 5-6 years to go until we get this game in our hands for our PlayStation 6s, you know. And great, you know, it's just don't give us any more information until this game comes out, or 2 months before it comes out, the year that it comes out. I don't want to hear any more about Kingdom Hearts 4. No more. I'm done.
That's not going to happen.
Done with this game.
I that's not going to happen because they need to sell copies of this game, and not everybody's a hardcore fan like you and I. We're going to buy this game regardless. That $70-$80 by that point is as good as spent. EA, I mean, not EA, God. Square Enix can spend each of our $80 as they wish right now. As a matter of fact, I would happily give them $80 ahead of time if it would ensure that it went to the production of the game to make it not absolute total garbage, because I will be buying it day one. So that's not a question. What is a question is will the game be worth coming back to? And, you know, if Kingdom Hearts 4 is good, it's, you know, that's good enough for me. I just want it to be good. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be the best Kingdom Hearts game ever. It just has to be good. And it has to be hard. That's you were talking about that earlier. It's these games are so easy now. This looks like, I said, all the worst parts of Final Fantasy 15 and QTEs, just like you said. It looks cool, great. If I wanted to watch something that looked cool, I'd watch an animated movie. Kingdom Hearts for me is about really good action RPG gameplay. It really had good gameplay back in the day. I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know. This is like, I do actually know what to say, and I've been holding on to this thought for a while. It just came to me again. How can you get it so right with one IP and so wrong with another? I think I may have said something like that earlier, but I just wanted to reiterate. How can Final Fantasy VII, like, that's what I said. I said it was handled like a baby, a newborn baby. They're coddling this game and making sure that they preserve, not only do they preserve the integrity of that IP, because Final Fantasy VII is such a big deal for so many people, they extend the legacy of the Final Fantasy VII IP. I forget who said it, but I was either reading or watching something. I don't know. I consume so much media at this point, it all sort of blends together. But somebody pretty much said Final Fantasy VII is a brand on its own. And it's true. It really is. It's not Final Fantasy, a part of Final Fantasy anymore. It's part of its own Final Fantasy VII sort of stratosphere. It's its own brand. We have Crisis Core coming out. I know Crisis Core is going to be good because all they have to do is make it like the original and it'll be very good. That game's amazing. How do you get stuff like that so right and get stuff like this so wrong? What do you think, Vinny?
I couldn't agree with more. It seems like My only hope, Anthony, is that the success of Final Fantasy VII Remake maybe lights a fire under the ass of Tetsuya Nomura. And internally at Square. I like to hope that the success of what made Final Fantasy VII Remake so special is kind of translated into Kingdom Hearts 4. I really hope so, because as we know, Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake were made side by side. Now we're in a post 7 Remake kind of world, as I'm sure internally Square knows how well received that game was and how damn near perfect that game was, to be honest. It's damn near a 10 out of 10. I'm hopeful that kind of trickles off to Kingdom Hearts 4. But like you, I don't think that's going to happen. I would be shocked. And it's very frustrating as Kingdom Hearts fans. It just is. It's very frustrating. And maybe it's like, man, you want to see more to kind of validate these comments, but we already know what's going to happen. We know where this is going. And it's an unfortunate conversation that we have to have. And man, wait until the game comes out. Wait until how upset we are when the game comes out. Wait until you guys want to hear a negative podcast. Wait until Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out and it's just as bad as Kingdom Hearts 3. We might honestly, the whole podcast might be about Kingdom Hearts 4. Yeah. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to hear about this game until I get it in my hands, which is, like you said, not going to happen. So it is what it is.
The only thing I keep coming back to is Tetsuya Nomura was working on both of these games simultaneously. That's the only thing I keep coming back to. And something had to give. Like I said, I already said this, but it's the only explanation. I think if Kingdom Hearts was, they didn't have the licensing issues that I talked about earlier, and they didn't have the pressure of Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think you get a much better Kingdom Hearts 3. It was kind of just, I think they were just working on it internally. They got the new engine. They had like a proprietary engine. It didn't work out. They switched to Unreal 4 and had some issues there. Then once the game got off the ground, it was more of an issue of, we have this thing here. They probably wanted to keep adding to it, and then it just got to the release date, and they were just like, well, I guess we'll just release it. That's the ending of that game. Spoiler alert. You just sort of fight all the organization members again, and it's really just kind of they're all these individual fights that you could tell they had sort of laid the framework down for, and I said this was going to be about Kingdom Hearts 4 conspiracies. My sort of theory here is that all these organization fights were originally supposed to be like they were in Kingdom Hearts 2, where the organization members, you fought them in the actual worlds, the Kingdom Hearts, the Disney worlds. But what you ended up getting as a final product was a gauntlet of organization boss fights, just back to 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 back. And what is like, I don't think that was the original vision. I'm sure the original vision was to sprinkle those boss fights throughout the story, but then they had this empty, sort of desolate final product, and they were like, well, we built all these boss fights, let's just stick them at the end. Do you think there's some credibility to this theory, Vinny? What do you think about that?
It makes sense to me. I mean, I'm very depressed talking about this. I'll be totally honest with you. You got me all upset. I was in a great mood, and we just had to have a Kingdom Hearts topic.
Well, if somebody so upsetting on time, we could have been talking.
I know, right? Yeah, if only I got through seafood. Damn it! Instead, we had to talk about Kingdom Hearts 4.
This is your punishment for not beating that game, or at least giving it, Maybe your fair
You know what,
amount of
Anthony? I'm
attention.
going to try to be optimistic here. I'm going to try to be the optimistic one. I'm going to
Okay.
try to say, you know what? Internally, they had to have learned something from Final Fantasy VII Remake and said, you know what? We're putting this in the Kingdom Hearts 4. We're going to use this in Kingdom Hearts 4. And honestly, for me, I just hope that they looked back at 1 and 2 and realized what made those games so special. And that's the Disney worlds and actually playing through those stories. That's so important. And God, I really hope they do it. I hope we get a comment from Tetsuya Nomura that says that, hey, yeah, we're going to start doing this again, because we got a lot of backlash from Kingdom Hearts 3. Because the boss battles in some of the worlds, man, not to keep on this topic, were terrible. They were so blah. They weren't fun to fight. They just weren't.
I'm going to cut you off.
You know?
I'm going to cut you off because we could go on for another hour about how disappointed we are. I'm just going to cut you off right there because you ended it on a somewhat high note, and I want to piggyback off of that. This is what I will say. I will say that Kingdom Hearts 4 has no pressure like the third game did. The third game was an anticipated game for a decade and a half. You know what I mean? People could not wait for this game, you and I included. Kingdom Hearts 4 is just, a bonus. This game has no expectations after the third game flopped, and after the sort of, it's just unexpected. It's the third game was supposed to be the end of the Xehanort saga, right? And we also assumed that it was the end of Sora's story until you had that secret ending thing come out, and it felt like they were advertising DLC or something at the end. I'm not gonna lie, but there was no expectation for this game. So when our expectations are as tempered as they are, the only place we can go is up. So let's end the podcast on that note. Your optimistic take and my optimistic take. And I will say right here, a random game that I'm in the mood for right now is Construction Simulator. I want to give that game a shot. I want to shovel some dirt. Vinny, do you have a random game that you're in the mood for?
That's a great question. Maybe I'm right there with you. Construction Simulator. Oh, that trailer really blew me away. It really got me feeling like
it blew you away.
This might, it not blew me away, but really made me think, you know what? Maybe I'll like this game. I liked Death Stranding, which is delivering packages. I love that game. Maybe these are the types of games that I love.
Maybe they're onto
Construction
something.
Simulators.
Yeah. Well,
I'm right there with you.
As always, thank you guys if you made it this far. Don't forget to get some sleep, and we will see you next week right here on the PSBlue Podcast. Have a great night, everyone.